When does sports nutrition actually matter? When every second matters, and also when every centimeter matters. That is when there is a importance of sports nutrition as such. And as he rightly said, to launch a rocket, a normal fuel might not be enough. So that is when we look into specialized sports nutrition. And I would also like to quote a saying from Professor Ronald, where he mentions that when talented, motivated, and highly trained athletes meet for the competition, the marginal difference between victory and defeat is usually small. And when everything is equal, because I'm sure all the coaches would have done their best in training, all the athletes would have put their most into the training, the nutrition can still make a difference between winning and losing. So now let us look into what affects the athletic ability. There are three most important components that I would like to talk about. One being genetics, your genetic makeup, your skill set need to be very particular. Then your training program, there I'm sure you have all the most trained coaches and who've been in the training field for a very long time and who take care of your training program. And this is where we come in as sports nutritionists, which is also a very important part to enhance your performance or optimize the performance. So now, sports nutrition is not a recent thing. Sports nutrition has come a very long way. There are also some literature which says that in Greek stories that when the first Olympic Games was held in the 8th century, Olympic athletes were trained on cheese and water and also perhaps even fig. Maybe they did not exactly know what was the importance, but still, sports nutrition has taken a very important part from the first Olympic Games. So, now let's look into what are the factors that would affect uh, nutrition requirement. Like we say, one standard diet plan does not fit all, or one dress does not fit all. Your diet is also very, very important because there are various factors that it would depend on, like your type of exercise, your intensity of exercise, your duration of exercise, your body weight, your weight or body composition challenges, your age and gender, and also training and competition schedule and fitness goal. So when we talk about training and competition schedule, I think Shiny ma'am has already given an introduction about nutrition periodization. That is what we would like to follow. It is not that you just go meet the nutritionist once in a year and you're done for the whole year. It does not work that way. And also, this I think I will not talk much about because as of now, we are not traveling through the time zones in the near future. But still, when an athlete has competition in different parts of the world, it is very important to start your practice and eating habit accordingly. Like we also mentioned, training the gut, you need to be exposed to the kind of food available elsewhere, but it is always good to stick to local food when you're training locally. So this is a small table I would like to share with you, showing the energy needs and the macronutrients. So for immediate energy, where we are talking about high jump, long jump, or even the 100-meter run, so which lasts about 6 to 10 seconds, it utilizes the ATP and creatine within the muscle. So your ATP phosphocreatine system is basically challenged at that time. When you look into short term as 400-meter runs and relays starting lasting about 60 to 180 seconds, usually your glycogen that is stored in the muscle is utilized, and this would be anaerobic glycolytic system. And when you're talking about long distance running lasting more than 3 minutes, that is when your carbohydrate and fat or protein as a substrate is used for generation of ATP and your aerobic system is involved. So let's look into what exactly phosphocreatine is. If you ask the athletes, the first thing they tell is creatine supplement, but when you talk about what is phosphocreatine, they might not be able to answer as such. An athlete require a high degree of phosphocreatine to perform well. This is the immediate energy source that is available. creatine is synthesized by the body as well as obtained by food. And phosphocreatine can be optimized in the muscle through an adequate energy and protein intake that avoids large energy deficit during the day. I'm very sure if we talk to any sports nutritionist, the first thing the athlete comes and asks is about protein. How much of protein am I supposed to have? And even when you look at the athletes dining in a mess or eating food as such, mostly their plate is filled with a lot of chicken and very less of the normal carbohydrate that is available. So I'll just talk in general what are carbohydrates and what are their sources. Carbohydrate is the only nutrient which can produce ATP in the cell in the absence of oxygen, and approximately about 55 to 60% of total calories should come from carbohydrate, or daily carbohydrate intake for an athlete has to be between 6 to 10 grams per body mass as a nominal for athlete depending on the phase of training. Again, like I mentioned, this would change whether it is 6 grams or 8 grams, depending on your training load and your periodization of your exercise. So one thing about carbohydrate is we have very limited storage of carbohydrate. We have only 90 grams which is stored in the form of glycogen, which is a storage form of carbohydrate, and skeletal muscle can store about 350 grams of glycogen, again which is a storage form of carbohydrate. There is no storage form of proteins and there is unlimited storage form of fat. So, protein, again, like I mentioned, the first common question of an athlete would be how much of protein to eat. So, do we really need extra? I think this slide would answer the question. Approximately about 10 to 25% of total energy should come from protein, depending on the actual intake or actual energy intake. An ingestion of 20 gram of high biological value protein, that is 8 to 10 gram of essential amino acid, may result in maximum stimulation of muscle protein synthesis. And there are studies to show that excess intake of protein might not have any future benefit. So athletes, please remember, if you're just eating all the chicken and paneer and the dals and pulses as the protein sources and not giving your body enough carbohydrate, I don't think you're getting the basics itself right. So this would be a general slide to show how much of protein intake would be required. So if we are talking about power sports, it would be 1.4 to 1.7 gram per kg per day. Resistance athletes in early training phase, it would be 1.5 to 1.7. And resistance athletes in a steady state where they've already been into quite a good number of exercising hours, it would be 1 to 1.2. So the requirement of protein can also be met through the diet alone without using protein powder supplements. Again, I think Shiny Ma'am would agree with me when we talk about supplements, we don't know what is there in a supplement. So to stay safe, I think do your basics right, have your base of nutrition right, then we can definitely look into this, whether it is required or not. This slide I have purposefully put in the presentation to show how much of a protein source is utilized. If you look at the slide, the green shows the protein utilization in whichever kind of a exercise or a sport, and maximum is carbohydrate and fat. So fats are also important. It is not just having a spoon of butter on your bread, or it is not just having a 3 egg whole egg omelette. So definitely fats need to be calculated and they are also important. And we do see a lot of athletes, especially in the weight loss phase, where they say, I want to go fat free, or I don't want to have any kind of a fat. But always remember, there is a certain kind of vitamins which are fat soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K, which are absorbed only in the presence of fat. So approximately again 20 to 25% of calories should come from fat, and requirement can be up to 2 kg per body weight, again depending on the kind of athlete that we are talking to. Stress to muscle leads to inflammation, bruising, and tissue breakdown. Failure to decrease inflammation can also lead to scar tissues, poor mobility, and delay in recovery time. This could be a challenge that can happen when there is not much of a fat present in the diet. So again, when we talk about the macronutrients, we never forget the micronutrients. The daily recommended intake during period of intensive strength training. This can be general values, whereas athletes do require a little more of calcium, especially for better bone health, and vitamin C to build up their immunities, and rest all B vitamins are very, very important. It is necessary to ensure an adequate intake of vitamins which promote energy metabolism and protein synthesis, and also special attention should be given to calcium, vitamin D, magnesium, and iron. Iron, especially in female athletes, especially in the age group that I'm talking to, 14 to 18 years. So hydration is also one of the important strategy that we talk about, which is very, very important. So sometimes we see the athletes on the field without their water bottles. So it might not be a common scene, but yes, there is a certain percentage of athletes who do that, and whom we always keep saying that hydration is very, very important. If you look at the slide, this shows where all water is present in your body. And there is no single organ that we say does not contain water. So 60% of our body is made up of water. And also when we talk about athletes' intake of water, we do consider sweat rate, which can be about 1.2 to 2 liters per day, depending on the weather that they are practicing and also their intensity of exercise. So this slide shows common symptoms, what could happen when you're dehydrated. So it could be a mental symptom, something like dizziness, fatigue, headache, irritation. And the thirst is always triggered when only when you lose about 8 to 10% of water in your body. And in physical symptoms, it can also have something like cramps, fatigue, and nausea. Sometimes the athlete might wake up with a bad headache in the morning, whereas he would have had a nice meal for dinner the previous night, and he might have forgot to just have that glass of water post dinner. So that is where we say hydration is very, very important to avoid these kind of symptoms. So feeling thirsty, I told you already, a loss of 1.5 to 2 liters of fluid, only the mechanism of thirst starts. So do not wait till you start feeling thirsty. Always carry your own bottle to the field and start sipping water as per your requirements. So this is a small guidelines to show how much of fluid should be replaced. So if we are talking about before activity 1 to 2 hours or 10 to 15 minutes, we say about 500 ml to 600 ml. It can be in terms of plain cold water or fresh juices as such. During activity, it can vary from 15 ml to 200 ml. Diluted fruit juice and electrolyte drinks, if required, can be consumed. And after activity, it is very important to compensate the loss of your water that you have lost. It is easy to calculate the number of grams that you have lost in weight should be equal to the amount of fluid that you consume. If you can just work on this and start having water or recovery drink, that should be great. So the simplest way to find out whether you're dehydrated or not is a urine color chart. So if you look at this slide, if you notice your urine color being normal or pale, it shows that you're performance ready. So when you're not well hydrated or you're dehydrated, your urine color also starts getting darker. If you notice from top to below, the fourth and the fifth shows you're dehydrated and you need to drink more water. Again, when we talk about dehydration, we also say there is a decreased performance. And when there is extremely thick, dark urine, we say you might require some kind of a medical attention. When we talk about nutrition periodization, we also talk about the nutrient timing, which is very, very important. It is when food is eaten is important as what food is eaten at that time. So when we talk about pre-training foods, it is very important to get your dose of pre-training food because we do see athletes who wake up in the morning and just go off to their practice or training sessions. And maybe they will not be able to give their maximum output because they've not had a pre-training food as such. Eating prior to exercise is very important for performance. This also fuels the stores that you can sustain throughout the event, and it also promotes an anabolic hormonal environment. It stimulates the muscle protein synthesis and it reduces the muscle damage or soreness. Composition of the meal can depend at what time you're training and what you can have. For example, if it is a morning training session, it can be as simple as a few dry fruits along with a fruit, or if it is something about 11 o'clock session or 11:30 session, a simple bread and jam might help. Or if it is a session that it is post breakfast, something like a aloo paratha, which is more in carbohydrate, might definitely help. So this gives you the content of meal that you are supposed to have pre-event. So if it is a morning event that I'm talking about, not a training practice, the meal at night should be high carbohydrate meal. The breakfast should be light, consisting of, for example, cereal with non-fat milk or fresh fruit juice or toast with low-fat yogurt, which again is a probiotic and helps with your gut health. If it is a afternoon event, the dinner at night and breakfast in the morning should be high carbohydrate meal. The lunch should be light and consist of salad or sandwiches and juices. If it is an evening event that you are attending, your breakfast and lunch should be high carbohydrate meal, followed by a light snack, maybe like a pasta or a soup or a fruit yogurt. So all this can be consumed before your events. So during training, during the event, sorry, it might not be possible to eat a snack as such, like we mostly advise. Okay, even a small sip of a sports beverage or some kind of a recovery drink in between might help. Or if you have sufficient amount of time, whereas in the athletic track events, it might be very difficult. You could also have a small snack. So, what is a rest or a recovery day? A rest day is a day where you're off from your training. It is very, very important when we talk about recovery nutrition. It is important that you rest on your rest day. Whenever you don't have a training, it does not mean you can go shopping and spend whole your day there. Okay. A rest day allows your body to consolidate the hard work that you've been doing throughout. It is very simple, athletes. Please understand if you're attending a school session, maybe now I should be telling an online school session. So if you're studying all the 6 days in a week and seventh day you're supposed to give an exam, do you think you will be able to perform well? No, right? So you need some amount of preparation for that. That is where this recovery day or a rest day would definitely help you for all the training that you've undergone and to give your best on the event day, or also be ready for the next training session and to take the next training load. What happens during recovery days? Your muscles recover, they adapt and become stronger, and also your nervous system has a chance to regenerate during this period of time. So, what to eat on the days of recovery? We always go with the 4 hours of recovery nutrition. One is rehydrate so that you do not face dehydration. It could be with fluids and electrolytes. It is also replenishing your muscle glycogen stores with carbohydrate, which again I said would form a base and a majority portion of your meal. And also to repair and regenerate the muscle tissue with high quality protein, and also reinforce your immune system with nutritious fresh fruits, that is your fruits and vegetables. So a recovery drink is usually that is considered anything that you take post workout to speed up the body's ability to recover. Effective recovery drink composition should be protein, carbohydrates, and or electrolytes depending on your workout, because we see a lot of people just popping in a protein shake after your workout. So I don't think the thought would have always gone through whether that is enough or not. So it should be a carbohydrate and protein base. And usually the general ratio that we recommend is 4 of carbohydrate and 1 of the carbohydrate protein ratio to be 4 is to 1. The best examples can be chocolate milkshakes or fruit milkshakes or even a fruit and yogurt. Don't worry if you don't get into the fancy terms of yogurt. It is nothing but our normal curd that is available. If you can make a smoothie out of curd and fruit, that should be great. So this is one thing that we promote athletes to have at night, haldi milk. So what would be so important with the haldi milk that we tell all our athletes to have? So protein food in the milk and milk products contains sleep-inducing amino acid called as tryptophan, which is again very important to help you in recovery. Curcumin is a bioactive ingredient in the turmeric. It improves muscle recovery and it also reduces the inflammation that is caused to the body. Um, it improves glycogen storage and exercise output. And also, curcumin shows a boost in brain function along with reducing the inflammation that is caused to the body. So post exercise also it is very, very important to fuel you right. For example, you're out of fuel in a car when you're traveling. It is very important to give the fuel immediately, right? You cannot say I'll go reach my destination and then fuel it. This might be a challenge if you are definitely a popular athlete where you would be posing for the photographs and not really concentrating more on your recovery nutrition, but just see, try and make sure you have something at least. This is very important, especially with adequate fluid, electrolyte, and carbohydrate to replace muscle glycogen and ensure rapid recovery. Protein will provide amino acid for building and repairing of muscle tissues and for also rapid regeneration process. Meals or food consumed within 30 to 45 minutes post exercise or an event is definitely recommended. Within 15 minutes window, we say window of opportunity, it is better to feed yourself within that. So it could be as simple as a fruit or a drink that you can opt for if you cannot actually go back and have your meal as such. So as I mentioned, sleep is also a very, very important tool for recovery. So now that I've spoke so much about the micronutrients, macronutrients, hydration and all, let us look into what is the benefit of proper nutrition in the athlete. It not only gives sufficient energy and desired body composition, it also looks into optimum performance. When you want to optimize your performance, it is very, very important. And it also promotes rapid recovery and regeneration. It reduces the kind of injuries that you would face in the field and also would definitely help you with faster and better injury healing. It improves your motor skills and also helps in building immunity where it promotes disease prevention. Overall, it helps in health and wellness. So now that we saw what all a good nutrition does, let us also look into what would happen if you're not fueling your body right. It increases your fatigue, injury, and illness. It promotes muscle mass loss, menstrual dysfunction, especially with girls of this age, and loss or failure to gain bone density, and also prolonged recovery time with potential long term consequences. When we talk about female athlete, this is one thing that I would like to mention, female athlete triad. So the triad of disorder representing eating disorder or restrictive eating, it leads to amenorrhea, both primary and secondary, and it could also lead to early development in osteoporosis. And this has been a taboo that people don't talk about periods, especially the female athletes. They don't talk about periods during their training time or competition. So I would like to tell all the female athletes, do not worry, your performance would be considered maximum or when you put in an effort, and there are literatures to show that you have a maximum performance during your periods at least. It is no more a taboo. You can always discuss with your coach who would be there with you on the ground. You can talk to your co-athletes, and there is no need to just miss training because you have periods. So it is always good to come back to the ground and see how much you can do during this time also. I hope the coaches agree with me, because one of the common thing the coaches also say is they miss their training because of these issues. And I would like to just show you this athlete's plate that is being developed. This is very important. If you look into the training schedule, this is of course a visual tool that helps you to approximately gauge what is required. This might not be the exact composition that is required. If you're in a easy training or a weight management, we say half of your plate should be fruits and vegetables, and quarter of the plate should still be your carbohydrates and your protein requirements, along with fats and other flavors and water. If you look at moderate training, your carbohydrate consumption goes a little more than one fourth. Okay. And if you look at hard training, your carbohydrate is again given utmost importance, which is almost half the plate. Again, I would like to quote, this is just a general visual tool that is being developed, and this is for easy understanding. So this would be the take home message is the key, the higher exercise intensity and the greater the reliance on carbohydrate as a fuel. Always remember, please give importance to carbohydrate. It is not that protein is not important. Everything in a plate is very, very important. But you need to understand how much as an individual you will be able to eat or you're supposed to eat. Okay. The storage capacity of carbohydrate and phosphocreatine is small compared with fat storages. Therefore, the athlete should have a strategy for optimizing carbohydrate storage as well as exercise and eating pattern. And consuming carbohydrate electrolyte containing sports beverage is useful during practice events to ensure that the glycogen storage are not depleted. So again, coming to mostly end of my slides, nutrition goals and requirement are not static. Always consult your sports nutritionist for a sports nutrition periodization. It is very, very important as per the season and your training schedules. Nutrition plan needs to be individualized. I think this is very common with the young athletes, especially. They would eat one particular kind of food. When asked the reason, they say, my friend eats it. They don't know the reason behind it. So I would take this opportunity for the parents to tell the parents that your uh, young kids' need might be entirely different from the others' need. So do not go by what their fellow athletes are eating. It is always good to consult your sports nutritionist in these terms. And also, the sports nutritionist will customize the diet plan according to the athlete's requirement, type of the sport, and training demands that they're undergoing. And this is a very good saying from Mary Com that I would usually quote in my presentations: never buy gold, simply earn it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share the knowledge that I've had.